Lion Brand here from Hooked on Homemade Happiness. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be making a circle mandala vest. I'm using the Lion Brand Mandala yarn in the colorway Liger. I really love all the colorways they have in their mandala yarn. They're so beautiful and bright and fun. But you can use any category 3 DK weight yarn for this vest. You will also be using an H5mm crochet hook, a yarn needle, and some scissors. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing, we need to get our yarn on our hook. So let's get our yarn on our hook in whatever method you like to do that. And this circle vest does start in the center and work our way out. So we're going to start with making a small circle to work our first round into. So how we're going to do that, we're going to do a chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip stitch to this first chain that I made so that I make a small little circle. So I'm going to insert my hook into the first chain and I'm going to do a slip stitch. And you can see I've made a small circle right there, and that's where I'm going to be working my first round into. So for round 1 we are going to work 12 double crochet. Move this little thing out of the way. There we go. So I'm going to chain 2. For round 1, the chain 2 does not count as a stitch. So I'm going to chain 2. I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to insert my hook into this small circle that I made with my chains. Oopsies. Yarn over and pull up a loop. I'm going to yarn over and pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. There's my first double crochet for round 1. So I'm going to do 11 more double crochet for a total of 12. There's my first round of 12 double crochet. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to slip stitch to the first stitch of my round. My chain 2 does not count as a stitch, so I'm going to slip stitch to the top of the first double crochet. So I'm going to insert my hook into the top 2 loops of that first double crochet, and I'm going to slip stitch to join. There you have round 1. And you should have 12 double crochet for round 1. Now for round 2, we're going to start out the same way. We're going to chain 2, and this chain 2 does not count as a stitch. So I'm going to chain 2, and in this very first stitch, because the chain 2 does not count as double crochet, I'm going to start in this very first stitch where I joined. I'm going to work a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, all in this very first stitch. So I'm going to yarn over and insert my hook into this very first stitch and work my double crochet. I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to double crochet again in that same stitch. So there I have my double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, all in the same stitch. And I'm going to work that all the way around. So I'm going to yarn over and insert my hook into the next stitch and work my double crochet, chain 1, and then again yarn over and insert my hook into that same stitch and work another double crochet. I'm going to do that again in the next stitch. Double crochet, chain 1, and then again double crochet in that same stitch. And I'm going to repeat that all the way around my round. Here I have my last stitch of the round, so I'm going to slip stitch to the first double crochet. So I'm going to insert my hook into both of those top loops and work a slip stitch. And here is round 2. And for round 2 you should have 24 double crochet and then 12 chain stitches. For round 3, I want to start my round in this first chain space. So I'm right here on top of the first double crochet where I slip stitch 2 from round 2. And I want to move my starting point actually to this chain 1 space. So I'm going to slip stitch over 1 stitch. So I'm going to insert my hook into this chain 1 space and work a slip stitch, so that I essentially just kind of moved over where I'm starting in this round. So now I'm going to start this round the same way. I'm going to chain 2. Chain 2 does not count as a stitch, and I'm going to work a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in this chain 1 space. So I'm going to yarn over and insert my hook into this chain 1 space and work a double crochet. I'm going to chain 1 and work another double crochet in that same space. And I'm going to do that again in the next chain 1 space right here. So I'm going to yarn over and insert my hook into this next chain 1 space. I'm going to chain 1 and double crochet in that same space. Now I'm going to work that same stitch pattern in between these next 2 double crochets. So before the next chain 1 space, right between these next 2 double crochets, I'm going to do that same stitch pattern. So I'm going to yarn over and insert my hook in between these 2 double crochets and work a double crochet, chain 1, and then double crochet again in that same space. Now I'm going to be working in the next chain 1 space. So I'm going to do my double crochet, chain 1, and then double crochet again in this same space. And again in the next chain 1 space. So in this next chain 1 space, I'm going to do my double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Now I'm going to be working again in between the next 2 double crochets. So I'm going to do a double crochet in between these next 2 double crochets. And chain 1, and then double crochet again in that same space in between. And I'm going to repeat that sequence all the way around, where I do my pattern repeat in between in a chain space, and then the next chain space, and then in between the next 2 double crochets. So I'm going to work my double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in the next chain 1 space. So in the next 2, this one and this one, and then I'm going to work in between the 2 double crochets. So I'm going to have it here, and then here, and then in between the 2 double crochets. So again, I'm going to insert my hook into the next chain 1 space and work my double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. I'm going to do that in the next chain 1 space. and then in between the next 2 double crochets. And then again in the next 2 chain spaces, and then in between the next 2 double crochets. So here's my next chain space. Here's the next chain space. And then in between these 2 double crochets. My next chain space. And then the next chain space right here. Oopsies. And then in between these next 2 double crochets. And then again in the next 2 chain spaces. And then here in between the last 2 double crochets. So there we've worked that all the way around, and we're going to slip stitch to the first double crochet of our round. You should have 36 double crochet for the end of round 3. For round 4, we are going to be working some bobble stitches, which is one of my favorite stitches. I just love the cute little polka dot effect that it gives. So I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to start in this very first stitch because my chain 1 does not count, and I'm going to work a bobble stitch right here in my first double crochet. So I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to insert my hook into this first double crochet, yarn over and pull up a loop. And then I'm going to yarn over and pull through 2. And I have 2 loops on my hook. I'm going to do that again 4 more times for a total of 5 times. I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook into the same stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops on my hook. Now I have 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook into the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops on my hook. So now I have 4 loops on my hook, and I have 3 started double crochets on my hook. I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook into the same stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, and yarn over, pull through 2. So that was my 4th repeat. Now I'm going to do it one more time. Yarn over, insert my hook into that stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So now you should have 6 loops on your hook. You repeated that 5 times, so now you have 6 loops, and I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 6. And I kind of like to pull them down like this so that you can see the space and your hook can easily glide through all of those loops. Now I'm going to work a single crochet in the next 5 stitches, and when I say 5 stitches, I'm including these chain spaces. So I'm actually going to single crochet in this first chain space. So I'm going to insert my hook into that chain space and pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through both of those loops on my hook. So that was 1. I need 4 more single crochets. So my next single crochet is going in this double crochet. And then the next one is another double crochet. That was 3. And then I have another chain space. I'm going to work a single crochet. And then this double crochet right here. So there's my 5 single crochet. And when you do a bobble stitch, the texture does actually pop out of the back naturally. I'm just going to push it forward so that it comes out the front of my work. And you're going to repeat that sequence all the way around. One bobble stitch and then single crochet in the next 5 stitches. So I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to insert my hook into this next stitch. I'm going to yarn over and pull up a loop. I'm going to yarn over and pull through 2 loops on my hook. I'm going to leave these 2 on there. I'm going to yarn over and insert my hook again into this same stitch. Yarn over and pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through 2. I'm going to do that 3 more times for a total of 5 times, and I'll have 6 loops on my hook. There's 4 times. I'm going to have 1 more. I now have 6 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to kind of tug these down to make room for my hook so it can just glide through all of those loops. Now I'm going to single crochet in the next 5 stitches, starting with this chain stitch. And I'm going to push this one through so you can see the texture on the front side of the work. I'm going to continue repeating that. So I'm going to work my bobble stitch in this next double crochet. So I'm going to yarn over and insert my hook and pull up a loop. I'm going to yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and I'm going to repeat that 4 more times for a total of 5. There's 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm going to yarn over and pull through all the loops on my hook. Now single crochet in the next 5, starting with this first chain space right here next to where my bobble is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And continue repeating that sequence all the way around for round 4. I worked that repeat all the way around, so now I'm going to join to the top of my first bobble stitch of the round. And you should have a total of 54 stitches for round 4. For round 5, we're going to start with a chain 1, and I'm going to single crochet in the same stitch in the bobble stitch, and I'm going to chain 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to single crochet in the next bobble stitch. So I'm going to skip all of these stitches and single crochet in the next bobble stitch. So you're going to create this like arch type of structure. So I'm going to do that again. I'm going to repeat that all the way around. So I'm going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then single crochet in the next bobble stitch. And do that all the way around. So I've done that all the way around. I'm on my last bobble stitch, so I'm going to chain 7 one more time. And I'm going to slip stitch to this very first single crochet in the round. So there you have for round 5. For round 5, you should have 9 single crochet and 9 of these chain 7 spaces. For round 6, I'm right here at the top of the first single crochet in the round, but I actually want to start in the middle of this chain 7. So I'm going to slip stitch in the first 3 chains so I can get to this middle chain. So I'm going to slip stitch in the next chain. And again in the second. And then in the third. And then I'm going to do it one more time, so I'm in this 4th chain. So I'm starting my round now in the middle of this first chain 7. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to chain 1. Chain 1 does not count as a stitch. Now I'm going to single crochet right here in this same chain. So you should have a single crochet in the middle of this first chain 7. Now I'm going to chain 7. And I'm going to single crochet in the middle of this chain space here. And I'm actually not going to do it into the chain, I'm just going to do it into the chain space, just like that. And I'm going to repeat that all the way around, so I'm going to chain 7, and then single crochet in the middle of the next chain 7 space. So now I've repeated that all the way around. I'm to my last chain 7 space of the round. I'm going to chain 7 one more time. And I'm going to slip stitch to the first single crochet of my round. So there is round 6. You should again have 9 single crochet and 9 chain 7 spaces. For round 7, I'm going to again want to start in this chain 7 space, but I'm only going to slip stitch over 2 stitches this time. So I'm going to slip stitch in the next, and then one more. And I'm going to start right here in this second chain in this chain 7 space. So I'm going to chain 1 and single crochet in this same space. I'm going to chain 4, and then I'm going to single crochet again in this same space. So I have this little chain right here. So I'm going to chain 4, and I'm going to single crochet in the next chain 7 space. And then again, I'm going to do the same thing I did here. I'm going to chain 4, and I'm going to single crochet again in this same chain 7 space. So you're going to repeat that all the way around. You'll chain 4, single crochet in the next chain 7 space, chain 4, and single crochet in the same chain 7 space. So you should have 2 single crochets in each of your chain 7 spaces. So repeat that all the way around for round 7. I'm in my last chain 7 space. I'm going to chain 4 and then join to this first single crochet of my round. So you should have 18 single crochet for round 7. For round 8, I'm going to start with a chain 3, and this chain 3 does count as a double crochet for this round. So I'm going to chain 3, and I'm going to single crochet in the next chain 4 space. So right here in this next chain 4 space, I'm going to single crochet, and I'm going to work 5 double crochet in the next single crochet. So here is my next single crochet. I'm going to work 5 double crochet. So I'm going to insert my hook into this single crochet and work 5 double crochet in that same stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, I'm going to single crochet in this next chain 4 space. And right here is my next single crochet where I'm going to work 5 double crochet. And again, I'm going to single crochet in this next chain 4 space. And 5 double crochet in the next single crochet. And single crochet in the next chain 4 space. And you're going to repeat that all the way around 4 rounds. So here I have my last single crochet in the last chain 4 space of my round. So now I'm going to work 4 double crochet in this very first stitch where my first chain 3 is to complete this chain 5 sequence in this last stitch. So I'm going to yarn over and insert my hook into the same stitch where my chain 3 is, and I'm going to work 4 double crochet. And then I'm going to slip stitch to the top of this chain 3, my very first chain 3, because it counts as a double crochet. So now I have 5 double crochet in that very first stitch. So here is round 8, and you should have 90 double crochet around. And for round 9, we're going to have bobble stitches in this round, just like we did for round 4. We're going to have some bobbles again in round 9. So I've joined to my first stitch of the chain 3 from round 8. I'm going to chain 1 to start round 9, and I'm going to do a bobble stitch here in this very first single crochet. So I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook into the stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through 2. And I'm going to do that 4 more times for a total of 5 unfinished double crochets to start my bobble stitch. So there's 1, and I need to do that 4 more times. So yarn over and insert your hook into the same stitch, and then yarn over and pull through 2. Again in the same stitch, pull up your loop and pull through 2. There's 3, I need 2 more. So again in the same stitch, oopsies. There we go. Yarn over, pull up a loop, and yarn over, pull through 2. There's 4. I need 1 more. So now there are 6 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to pull these down a bit so that I can see all the loops easily, and pull through all 6 loops. Now I'm going to chain 3 and do a single crochet in the very middle of this group of double crochets from my previous round. So I'm going to do it in the 3rd double crochet in this group of 5. So 1, 2, 3. Right here I'm going to work a single crochet. And I'm going to repeat that all the way around. So again, I'm going to do another chain 3. And in the next single crochet, I'm going to work another bobble stitch. So I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook into this stitch, the single crochet, and yarn over and pull up a loop, and yarn over, pull through 2. I'm going to do that 4 more times for a total of 5. So there I have 5 unfinished double crochets on my hook, and I have 6 loops on my hook. So I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 6. And again, I'm going to chain 3. And I'm going to single crochet in the 3rd double crochet of this next shell or group of double crochets here. So 1, 2, 3. I'm going to insert my hook right here and work a single crochet. And again, I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to work my bobble stitch here in this next single crochet. So yarn over and insert your hook into this next single crochet. Yarn over and pull up a loop. Be careful when you chain, when you yarn over. See how my chain kind of got twisted around? Be careful that it stays straight like this. You may need to kind of hold on to it a little bit to make sure it stays the right direction. So let me do that one more time. So yarn over and insert your hook into the single crochet, yarn over and pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through 2. And 4 more times for a total of 5. Alright, there's my 5 unfinished double crochets for my bobble stitch, 6 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 6. So you're going to repeat that sequence all the way around your circle. So chain 3, and then now single crochet in the top of the middle double crochet, chain 3, and work your bobble stitch. So I've done my last single crochet of the round in this last group of double crochets. Here I am in the 3rd double crochet here. So now I'm going to do one more chain 3, and I'm going to join to the top of this bobble stitch right here. So I'm going to insert my hook through both of the top loops and join with a slip stitch. And there you have round 9. Now for round 10, we're just going to have a simple stitch of double crochet and chain stitches. I start round 10 with a chain 4. So the chain does count as a double crochet plus 1 chain. So I'm going to have my chain 3, which counts as my double crochet, and then 1 more, which counts as the chain. So this chain 4 counts as a double crochet plus 1 chain 1. And I'm going to double crochet in this first chain 3 space. So I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to insert my hook just in this space, not into a particular chain or stitch, just right into that space, and work my double crochet. And I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to double crochet in the single crochet. And chain 1. And I'm going to double crochet in the next chain 3 space. Chain 1, and I'm going to double crochet on top of this on the bobble stitch. So right here you can see the top loops are kind of right here. And chain 1, double crochet in the chain 3 space, chain 1 and double crochet on top of the single crochet, chain 1, double crochet in the chain 3 space, and chain 1, double crochet in the bobble. So you're going to do that all the way around, chaining 1 in between each double crochet. So you're going to double crochet in the chain 3 space on top of the next stitch, in the chain 3 space on top of the next stitch, with your chain 1 in between each of your double crochets, and repeat that all the way around. So I've double crocheted in the last chain 3 space of my round, so I'm going to do one more, chain 1, and then I'm going to double crochet to the top of the chain 3, because remember we started with a chain 4, which counted as a double crochet plus 1 chain. I want to leave 1 chain for my chain space so that it matches the rest of my round. So I'm going to slip stitch to the top of the chain 3. And there you have round 10. So now for round 11, I'm going to have another round with bobble stitches and single crochets. So I'm going to start with a chain 1. My chain 1 does not count as a stitch, so my first single crochet is going to go right here in the same stitch as my slip stitch. So I'm going to single crochet in the first 4 stitches. That includes the chain spaces. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to insert my hook into the same space that I slip stitched and work my single crochet, and then my chain space is my second stitch, 3, 4. And I'm not single crocheting into the chain, just into the space is fine. And now I'm going to bobble stitch in the next. So again, I'm going to do 5 unfinished double crochets, so I'll have 6 loops on my hook, and yarn over and pull through all 6 loops. Now I'm going to single crochet in the next 7 stitches. So starting in this chain space, and single crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now I'm going to bobble stitch in this next double crochet. And again, single crochet in the next 7, and then bobble stitch in the next. So you're going to repeat this sequence all the way around. Here I've done my last bobble for round 11, and I'm going to single crochet in the last 3 stitches. So I'm going to start the chain space, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to join to the top of my first single crochet with a slip stitch. Now again, these bobbles are automatically facing towards the back of our work, so if you would like to at this point, you can take them and push them out towards the front. Now for round 12, we're actually going to start our round on top of this first bobble stitch. You could cut your yarn and rejoin it here at the top, but to me that just equals more ends to weave in, so I'm just going to slip stitch right on over to the top of this first bobble. So I've already slip stitched to the first single crochet, so I'm going to insert my hook into the next stitch and slip stitch right there, and again in the next single crochet, and then one more single crochet, and then finally I'm on top of my bobble stitch. So this is where my next round 12 is going to start. So I'm going to start with a single crochet, so I'm going to chain one, and that chain one does not count as a stitch, so I'm going to single crochet in this same stitch right here. So there we have the start of round 12 with a single crochet. And now I'm going to chain 8, and I'm going to now single crochet to the next bobble, and I'm just going to do that all the way around. I'm just creating these chain spaces all the way around for round 12. So again, I chained 8, single crochet to the next bobble, chain 8, single crochet on the next bobble, and repeat that all the way around. I have a single crochet here on my last bobble of the round, so I'm going to do one more chain 8, and I'm going to slip stitch to the first single crochet of the round. There we go. So now you have a round of these chain 8 spaces. And our next round is going to be pretty much the same. It's going to be chain spaces again. But again, I'm not going to start my round right here where I left off. I actually want to start my round in the middle of this first chain 8 space. So again, I'm going to slip stitch over to the middle of this chain 8 space so I can get started there. So I've slip stitched here to my first single crochet. I'm going to go to the first chain and slip stitch, and the next chain. I'm going to do that about 4 times, and there I am approximately at the middle of my first chain 8 space. So now I'm going to chain 1 and single crochet in this chain 8 space. Now I'm going to do that, I'm going to chain 8 and single crochet in the center of each of my chain 8 spaces. So again, I'm going to chain 8, and then I'm going to single crochet right here in the middle. I'm not putting it in any particular chain, just inserting my hook into that space and working my single crochet. Chain 8, single crochet in the next chain 8 space, and repeat that all the way around. I have my last chain 8 for round 13, and I'm going to slip stitch to the first single crochet of my round. Now for round 14, we are going to be working some double crochets into these chain 8 spaces. So we're going to start with a single crochet in our first stitch. So I'm going to chain 1, and the chain 1 doesn't count, so I'm going to put a single crochet in this very first stitch. Now I'm going to be working my next set of stitches all in this chain 8 space. And again, I'm not going to be working into individual chains, just inserting my hook into the space. So first I'm going to do 7 double crochets. So I'm going to insert my hook just into this chain space and work my double crochet. So I'm going to do 7. I have 1, so I need 6 more. So there I have 7 double crochets so far, and now I'm still going to continue to work in this chain space. I kind of squished them to one side because we're going to repeat that and do 7 more on this side. So I'm going to chain 2 first. I'm going to do a chain 2, and now I'm going to do 7 more double crochet in this same space. So there I have my second set of 7 double crochet in that chain 8 space, and now I'm going to single crochet in the next single crochet. So I'm going to before I do that, I'm going to spread these out just a bit so they're not super squished. There we go. So you could see we're going to create this pretty kind of pointed arch, and we're going to do that in each chain 8 space all the way around. So first I'm going to single crochet to the next single crochet right here, and then I'm going to repeat this again in the next chain 8 space. I'm going to do 7 double crochet, chain 2, 7 double crochet, and then single crochet in the next single crochet. So I'm going to work in my next chain 8 space and do 7 double crochet, then I'm going to chain 2, then I'm going to chain 2, and that kind of creates the corner right here, the pointed corner that we have in our arch. And then I'm going to do 7 more double crochet. And again, single crochet in the next single crochet. And you can spread these out and even them out a little bit better. You have. So this is what you're going to be creating all around for round 14. So keep repeating that all the way to your last chain 8 space. I've done my last double crochet in all of my chain spaces around. So now I'm going to join to my first single crochet in the round with a slip stitch. And there you have round 14. Now for round 15, we actually are going to want to start in this chain 2 space. So you could cut your yarn and then rejoin to this chain 2 space, but I'm actually going to just slip stitch in each stitch to this chain 2 space. So I'm just going to slip stitch in this next double crochet. So I'm going to insert my hook and slip stitch. And I'm going to do that in each of these first 7 double crochets until I end up in my chain 2 space. So now I'm in my first chain 2 space, and this is where round 15 is going to begin. Now I'm going to chain up 1, and I'm going to work a single crochet in this same chain 2 space. So this is going to be another round of making chain spaces. So I'm going to chain 10, and I'm going to do a single crochet in the next chain 2 space. So So I'm going to chain 10. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now I'm going to single crochet in this next chain 2 space. And that is basically all you're going to do for round 15. So I'm going to do another chain 10. I'm sorry, round 15. Another chain 10, and then single crochet in the next chain 2 space. And you're just going to repeat that all the way around for round 15. Here's my final chain 10 of my round. So I'm going to join the first single crochet with a slip stitch. And there is round 15. And now for the next round, it's going to be a round of solid double crochet. So we're basically just going to do double crochets all the way around our circle. But isn't it just absolutely beautiful so far? I love the different textures and different stitches. It's so much fun. All right, now on to round 16. So I'm going to start with a chain 2. And I'm going to double crochet in this same stitch. Now I'm going to do 10 double crochet in this chain 10 space. I'm not going to do in each chain, I'm just going to work into the space. So I'm going to yarn over and insert my hook into the space and work my double crochet. And I'm going to have 9 more for a total of 10 in this space. There's my 10 double crochet, and I am going to kind of spread them out. And then I'm going to do a double crochet in the next single crochet. And that is the stitch pattern repeat for round 16. So again, I'm going to do 10 double crochet in this chain 10 space. And again, they got a little bit squished up, so I'm going to spread them out a little so that I can easily double crochet in the next single crochet. And you're going to repeat that all the way around. 10 double crochet in your chain 10 space, and then a double crochet in the next single crochet. I've completed all of my double crochets for round 16, so I'm going to join to my first double crochet of the round with a slip stitch. And now we're going to move on to round 17, which is another round of double crochet, but this is going to be a round of double crochet and chain spaces. So in this round, we're going to be starting with a chain 4. And the chain 4 is going to count as a double crochet plus our first chain space. So I'm going to start with my chain 4. And that is my first double crochet plus the first chain space. So here's my first stitch where my double crochet counts, and here's the next stitch. I'm going to skip this stitch and double crochet in the next. So you can see how our chain 4 created our first chain space, with the chain 3 counting as our double crochet and that chain 1 counting as that chain space. Now I'm going to chain 1, skip the next stitch, and double crochet in the next. chain 1, skip the next stitch, and double crochet in the next. And that is the pattern repeat for the entire round 17. So you're going to continue repeating that all the way around until you get back to the beginning. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, and double crochet in the next. So for the end of round 17, I'm going to join to the top of the chain 3. I'm not going to join to the 4th chain because that counts as my chain space, and I want that space right here to stay. So I'm going to join to the top of the 3rd chain in my turning chain. In the next round, we are going to be creating the armholes. And right now, for the armholes, you should have a space of about 13 inches. Let's see if you could see that. About 13 inches across here, across the top, where the armholes are going to be. If you want to make that larger, in the written pattern there are some additional rounds that you can do to make the space between the armholes wider if that's what you prefer. But we're going to go ahead and continue on to round 18. If you want to add some rounds to make the space between the armholes larger, in the written pattern there are some options for that. And then after you do those additional rounds, then we're going to continue to round 18, which is where the armholes are created. So this round actually begins with the armhole. So we're going to start with our chain for the armhole. So we're going to be chaining 38. This is our 35 stitches for the armhole plus our 3 stitches for our starting double crochet. So go ahead and chain 38. Okay, there is my chain of 38, and now here along the side of my circle I am going to be skipping the next 35 stitches, including the chain spaces. So we're going to go ahead and start with our first chain space, and we're going to skip the next 35. And I'm going to go ahead and put a stitch marker right where that 35th stitch is, and I'm going to double crochet right here in the next stitch. So here's my chain 35. I'm skipping this whole entire section. Here's my 35th stitch. When you yarn over with this big chain, be careful not to wrap your chain around your hook. So I kind of hold it right here, and then I kind of hold it with this finger back to keep it in place. And then I'm going to insert my hook into the very next stitch after my skipping 35 stitches. It's going to want to wrap around, so be careful that it doesn't. And work your double crochet. So there is your first armhole. Now of course this can be absolutely any width. I make them a little bit wide, but if you wanted it shorter, you can make this chain any amount that you wanted and then just skip the same amount of stitches. So this is very adjustable. Make it any size that you want. Of course, make sure that it's the same size when you do the other armhole as well. Next, we are going to double crochet in the next 33 stitches, and this is going to be the space across the top between the shoulders. So including the chain spaces, double crochet in the next 33 stitches. So this here, these 34 stitches that we just double crocheted, is the space across the top, right over the shoulders. If you want to make this space longer, you can definitely just continue double crocheting until this is the width that you prefer. So now we're going to go ahead and start the second armhole, and again we are going to be chaining 35. Here's my next chain 35, and I'm going to be skipping the next 35 stitches. So I went ahead and put a stitch marker in my 35th stitch, and I'm going to double crochet in the next stitch. And I'm going to be double crocheting in this chain space right here. Again, I have this long chain, so I'm going to be really careful not to let it wrap around my hook as I yarn over. Okay, and then now I'm just going to double crochet in each of the remaining stitches until I get to the beginning of my round. In the last stitch in round 18, I'm going to join to the first 3 chains of my initial chain, because my initial chain is this big long 38 chain for the armhole. So I'm going to join to the top of the first chain 3. And there you have round 18 with our sleeves. So now what we're going to do is just a round of double crochet, and I will double crochet in each of these chains across. So I need to make sure I have 35 double crochet in the chain, and then double crochet in each stitch, and then double crochet in each chain for the other armhole. So I'm going to start with a chain 3, and this will count as my double crochet for this round. And now starting in the very first chain, I'm going to double crochet. And I'm going to do that all the way across my chain. I've double crocheted all the way across my chain. Now I'm just going to continue on into the next double crochet, and then I'm just going to keep double crocheting all the way around my circle. I'm at the end of round 19, so I'm going to join to my first chain 3 with a slip stitch. And now for round 20, we are going to be doing a round of V stitches. A V stitch is when you do double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, all in the same stitch. Of course, there are some different variations of the V stitch. We're just going to do in this round the basic double crochet, chain 1, double crochet around for round 20. So we're going to start with a chain 4, and this chain 4 does count as a double crochet plus 1 chain. And then I'm going to double crochet in this same stitch where my chain is. So right where I joined, I'm going to work another double crochet. And that is my first V stitch of this round. You could see that V shape right there. And now I'm going to skip the next stitch and do a V stitch in the next. So I'm going to work a double crochet, chain 1, and then double crochet again in that same stitch. And there's my second V stitch. Skip the next stitch and work a V stitch in the next. So work a double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet again in that same stitch. Again, skip the next stitch, V stitch in the next. So work your double crochet, chain 1, and then double crochet again in that same stitch. And you're going to repeat that sequence all the way around. Skip 1 stitch and V stitch in the next. And here is my last V stitch for round 20. So I'm going to join to the top of the chain 3 at the beginning of the round, And then for round 21, it's going to be very similar to round 20, but instead of with the V-stitch with 2 double crochet, we're going to have a total of 4 double crochet in each V-stitch around. So first, I actually want to begin my round in this chain space. So I'm going to slip stitch into the chain space. Oopsies. And this is where I'm going to be starting the round. I'm going to start with a chain 3, and this chain 3 counts as a double crochet. I'm going to double crochet again in the same space, and I'm going to chain 2 and 2 more double crochet in this same space. And we're going to do this 2 double crochet V-stitch all the way around in each chain space. So in the next chain space of the next V-stitch from the previous round, right here, I'm going to do this exact same thing. So I'm going to do 2 double crochet in this space. And I'm going to chain 2 and 2 more double crochet in this same space. And again, in the next chain 1 space in this V-stitch right here, 2 double crochet, chain 2, and 2 more double crochet in this same chain space. Then I'll move on to the next chain 1 space right here in this next V-stitch, 2 double crochet, chain 2, and then 2 more double crochet in the same space. And I'm going to continue repeating that all the way around for round 21. And now I'm going to join to the first chain 3 of the round. And for round 22, I'm doing a repeat of what we just did for round 21, but I'm actually going to start in the chain 2 space. So I'm going to slip stitch over to this chain 2 space. So I'm going to slip stitch in this next double crochet. And then I'm going to slip stitch into the chain 2 space. And this next round is going to be an exact repeat of what we just did. So I'm going to chain 3 and do a double crochet. And this chain 3 counts as my first double crochet. Now I'm going to chain 2 and work 2 double crochet in this same chain 2 space. Now I'm going to continue that in each chain 2 space all the way around, working 2 double crochet, chain 2, and 2 double crochet in that same chain 2 space. And repeat that all the way around for round 22. I've reached the end of round 22, and I'm going to join to the first chain 3 with a slip stitch. And for the next round, round 23, I'm actually going to start my round in this chain 2 space. So I need to slip stitch on over to this chain 2 space for the start of round 23. So I'm going to slip stitch into this next double crochet and then into the chain 2 space. And here is where I'm going to start for round 23. So for round 23, I'm going to start with a chain 1, and the chain 1 does not count as a stitch, and I'm going to single crochet in this first space. and then I'm going to chain 5, and I'm going to single crochet in the next chain 2 space. And again, chain 5, and single crochet in the next chain 2 space. I'm going to be repeating that all the way around for round 23. Chain 5, and single crochet in the next chain 2 space. Here I have single crocheted in the last chain 2 space for round 23, and to end this round you are going to do a chain 2, and then here is the first chain 5 space from the beginning of the round. I'm going to double crochet in this chain 5 space. So I'm going to do my double crochet right here. And that is how you end this round. So the reason we did it that way is because we're going to do another round of these scallops, and I need to be in the middle of this chain 5 space. So this puts me right there in the middle of my chain 5 space where I want to start my next round. So here you could see I have this arch right here, and I'm starting right in the middle of it. So this counts as a chain 3, and my 1 double crochet kind of counts as 1 chain 5 space. So I like how it just puts you right where you need to be in the middle of one of these arches. So now we're ready to start round 24. And actually rounds 24 is a lot like this one. We're just going to do a chain 5, and then we're going to be single crocheting in each chain 5 space from the previous round. And rounds 24 through 28 are all going to be the same. So you're going to end each round just like this. So I'm going to do a chain 5, and then single crochet in the next chain 5 space. And again, chain 5, and single crochet in the next chain 5 space. And you're going to be doing that all the way around until you get to your last chain 5 space of the round. And then we're going to do again that same thing where we're going to do a chain 2 and double crochet in the first chain 5 space of this round. Crochet of round 24 in the last chain 5 space. Here is my first chain 5 space. So this is where I'm going to be joining. This was the chain 2 plus the double crochet. Here's the first full chain 5. So I'm going to chain 2, and I'm going to double crochet in the first chain 5 space of that round. And there you have joined the end of round 24. And again, this counts as a full chain 5. The 2 chains plus the double crochet counts as my chain 5. And I'm starting right in the middle of that chain 5 space, right where I want to begin. So you're going to repeat round 24 to round 28, and then you're going to fasten off, and that'll be the end of your mandala vest. Of course, if you want to make it bigger, you could just continue repeating this round 24 until it's the length that you like. I'm going to be repeating this until round 28, and then I'll fasten off and weave in all my ends, and we'll get to see what the finished product looks like. And there you have our finished mandala vest. I hope you love it. It's so beautiful. Make sure to, if you finish one, make sure you tag me in your photos on Facebook or Instagram. I would love to see your finished vest. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below or message me on any of my social media platforms. I also have the written pattern, the PDF for purchase linked down below, and I have the free version on my blog linked below. Thank you so much for joining me. We'll see you next time.